Lisbon. It feels like there are dozens of photo opportunities on every corner. But what if you're living in a dull suburb in a boring town? Let's ask great Fred Herzog for some advice.
The pictures are about content and more content. And if there's no content, take no picture.
This quote from Fred Herzog sounds so simple, but isn't that easy to follow. Where are you supposed to find content if there's none to capture? What if you live in a boring small town where the most exciting event is McDonald's adding a new burger to the menu? How would Fred Herzog approach this? Fred Herzog, one of my greatest role models in street photography, was a German-born street photographer known for his vibrant, color-rich images of urban life in the 50s and 60s in Vancouver. His works, mostly captured on Kodachrome film, portray authentic, everyday scenes and have left a lasting impression on street photography. For years, he was underappreciated and his photography overlooked until a major exhibition in Vancouver 2007, where his Kodachrome work from the 50s and 60s was showcased. You might wonder, why was he only recognized in 2007? The difficulty of printing Kodachrome film meant it wasn't until the early 2000s that his work could be presented in the quality he and his work deserved. This exhibition skyrocketed his popularity, particularly among younger street photographers. It's not just his photography that intrigues, it's his philosophy. How do we find content for our photography when we don't immediately see it, especially when we are not in bustling cities like New York, Paris, or Tokyo? Instead, perhaps you're in Indianapolis or Croydon or Erkenschwick. Or you've been living for 30 years in one of these street photography dream destinations, but know every corner and you think you've seen and photographed everything. I think there are several ways Fred Herzog might tackle this challenge. So let's explore the question, what would a master like Fred Herzog do when he gets bored? So imagine yourself in a painfully dull town. The day before, you scroll through Instagram admiring elegant, minimalist black and white compositions from Paris or the colorful street scenes of India. But your bank account is as empty as your camera batteries would be if you had a chance to go to one of these great places. So what now? Trade your camera for a bottle of frustration-filled whiskey? My tip is to try to avoid being selective or actively searching for the perfect shot. Photograph anything that catches your attention instantly. If you hesitate and question whether to take a photo or not, it's already too late. Act on the impulse to take a photo immediately, like I did, for example, here in Taiwan. This is not what you would call a boring place at all, but I hope you see what I mean. I photographed everything which came to my attention, and I did not care if it was street photography or not at all. This objective style of photography leads to authentic results, photos that reflect your perspective rather than mimicking others. During editing, you'll often notice patterns, parallels, or potential series you might not have planned or seen otherwise. Sure, there will be outtakes, but consider Fred Herzog as an example. Over 30 years, he took over 100,000 photos. Everyone has misses. If you manage just one great photo a month, that's an incredible outcome. Another option is to prioritize intentional photography by looking for certain themes to build series. Decide in advance what you want to capture on the street and you'll start spotting more potential subjects. This could be specific colors, types of clothing or reflections in store windows, whatever sparks your interest. One of Fred Herzog's strongest triggers to make a photo were vibrant colors he found with street signs or clothes of bypassers. With this trigger-centered approach, each walk has a purpose. You're on the lookout for very specific motifs. Take a handful of shots from different angles for each subject or scene. Back home, create folders for these themes on your computer or organize them with Lightroom tags. Over a few months, you'll start seeing which series resonates with you the most. You can then decide to expand them or even turn the project into a small exhibition or photo book. This is essentially the gold standard of photographic work. Light is another fantastic trigger. With a beautiful morning or evening sun, location becomes secondary. Even small villages can yield stunning photos. Personally, I often take a light-driven approach. Instead of searching for specific locations or subjects, I look for appealing patches of light or atmospheric lighting. When I find it, I compose the best possible frame of the space and simply wait for people to pass through my frame. It's a classic fishing technique, perfect for laid-back, meditative street photography on sunny days. And this works nearly everywhere. I made these photos here in a small town in Switzerland. The only really cool thing there were these yellow zebra crossings and the marvelous light. Fred Herzog excelled at the usage of natural light. It's often truly unique and majestic in his photos. This light searching approach can apply to night photography too. Instead of sunlight, explore intriguing street or store lighting as your compositional element. For instance, Fred Herzog loved neon signs, a type of lighting situation he frequently used as a trigger for photos that would be hard to find today. When my inspiration bank is running low, I like to recharge by studying the great masters of street photography. Whether visiting photography exhibitions or more likely for me these days as a father of 3-week-old twins, sorry for looking a bit tired today, flipping through photo books, I immerse myself in their work. Set aside just 10 or 20 minutes daily to look through your favorite photo books. Fred Herzog's brilliant modern color is an excellent choice. Within a week or two, you'll notice new potential subjects on the street that you previously overlooked. And you don't even need to consciously memorize composition rules or some techniques. This consistent exposure will naturally train your observation skills and spark ideas that may evolve into something entirely new. Who knows what unique photos you may end up with? If nothing else works and you've become completely blind to opportunities where you live, it might be a time for a short getaway. Whether it's to iconic street photography destinations like Lisbon or New York, or a remote island or seaside village, a change of scenery can reignite your creativity. Returning from Tokyo or New York, you'll likely be buzzing with excitement, eager to keep shooting after spending hours photographing daily on your trip. Or returning from that remote island or small village might make you suddenly appreciate living in a town of 50,000 rather than 500 residents. Inspired by your trip, you'll feel a fresh boost in motivation for your street photography. Everybody will find their hometown boring from time to time. And even if your photo bookshelf is the most exciting place in your area, that's fine. Flipping through a photo book like Fred Herzog's Modern Color gives me a ton of inspiration every time. Thank you, Fred Herzog.